everybody, what is up? Brian here, Travis there, Adina Girls opening us up. We got Trent over there in Trent's corner, as always, and the new guy, Matt Borkus. He's sitting in, watching to get a feel for how things are going here at MileSplit Live. And as always, we have a packed show today. Lots of big things. We got Derrick Peters. We have Coach David Dobson from Centerville here to talk about why his girls should get an Nxn bid. But first, as always, let's kick it off with the Performance of the Week poll winners. We have Shaib Abjabali on the boys' side, and on the girls' side, Alexa Wesley. Did I pronounce that wrong?
Yeah, I think you had to pause. We actually took bets here on Facebook Live a few minutes ago. Will, our Texas webmaster, who's coming on shortly to talk Nxn South,
he
said a 33% chance of success. I mean, you almost had it, though. There's like a little bit of a stutter, but I got to say it wasn't bad. It could have gone a lot of directions, but that was pretty solid.
Yeah, but congratulations to Shaib and Alexa there on the Performance of the Week. They get MileSplit t-shirts or subscriptions, depending on what you want. MileSplit shirts, they're nice, new, they look just like that. They're pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, first on the docket, we're going to give Derrick Peters a call from South Dakota. Derrick Peters is one of the top guys in South Dakota. He finished second at the Nxn Heartland region just last weekend, and he recently committed to Wisconsin. So, we'll give him a call right now and see about his commitment.
Absolutely. He's got a lot of great things going on for him after coming off of Roy Griak and everything else. We're really excited to see what his process was in narrowing down that decision in Wisconsin. Really strong recruiting class out there.
So here we go, Derrick Peters.
Yeah. Second Nxn Heartland this week.
Hello.
Hey, Derrick, man, how you doing? This is Brian and Travis here with MileSplit Live.
Hey, I'm doing really well, actually. I'm super excited.
Awesome, man. So, we heard that you made the big decision about the college choice this weekend, Wisconsin. Can you talk to us a little bit about that decision?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I can recognize some of their academic achievements, and that's kind of one of the big things I've been trying to focus on, is just trying to pick a good academic school, in which I believe they are. But secondly, I definitely wanted a good team and a good, fun family to try and walk on and just kind of see what I can do. I know one of the things that the coaches really stressed was just that I could contribute. And I like that idea of me being able to put points up on the board and help the team along, even in potentially as a freshman. And I think that really appealed to me. And so, yeah.
So when you were looking at schools, what were some of the other schools that were, really on your radar that you were really interested in, but, what kind of separated Wisconsin into that #1 spot?
I guess the other school was just Oklahoma State. They were amazing. Pretty much along the same lines. I really enjoyed the team, and I thought they were a great group of guys, all super hardworking. I guess the only thing that really separated them was just the feeling. I just felt a little bit more comfortable, just a little bit more at home over in Madison than down in Oklahoma. So I guess that's really the only deciding factor that I kind of went on. Just got to go with your gut sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. No, I hear you there for sure. What were, I guess, some of the other schools other than, you said Oklahoma and Wisconsin that you looked at that, I guess, what was your top 5 before you labeled it down to Wisconsin?
Ooh, top 5. That's a good question. So I guess I took some unofficial visits over to University of Nebraska-Lincoln, University of Iowa, and then I guess I took a third one over at Oklahoma State. But I guess my top 5 probably were obviously University of Wisconsin, Oklahoma State. I was really interested in Stanford. The other top 2. Oh, I don't know. There were a couple up there kind of fighting for that spot, but I'm just kind of glad I narrowed it down to that top 1.
Gotcha. What was the recruiting process like, taking all those visits? What was kind of the feel when you went to these different schools? How did you, socialize with the coach, the team? How did you approach it, and how did teams approach you when you were a recruit on these visits?
Just kind of when I went in, I tried not to be anything less than I am. I think it's important just try to be yourself while doing that type of thing. because if you're not yourself, you don't know how you're going to mend with the team. So I just really tried to be myself, trying to be Derrick, and I just kind of went with it. And I don't know, I really hoped that the teams that I was with really tried to be themselves too, and tried not to hold back. And I think just that interaction just has to be honest. And without that honesty, then it's not going to be quite that good fit, but hopefully you can still get through it. But I know that University of Wisconsin is definitely a straight shooter type of school. So
Awesome. And, you know, they had a big recruiting class last year. I mean, they had Finn Geschner, Seth Hirsch, Noah Jacobs. What was it like seeing those guys there on campus, and what kind of advice or feedback did they give you, you know, when you were there and talking with them?
I mean, obviously, they were saying go with where you feel the most comfortable, and I think that was one of the biggest things that I've kind of took with me. And obviously, it came down to that. It was just where I felt comfortable. But seeing them on campus, it was amazing. I know they were kind of my idols, just watching last year and even the year before, and even racing them just one or two times, just coming around. But no, and I'm happy to say that they're finally going to be my teammates.
Awesome. So when you were on your visit, was there any one person in particular who kind of guided you around or stuck out, or, you know, maybe did something funny or goofy that really resonated with you when you were on that trip?
You know, I can't say it was necessarily one person. I don't know. When I was there, I was with a group of guys, and there were a couple other recruits, so I kind of got to get a little bit more of that feel for kind of that freshman class. And so I just kind of hung out with Finn, Seth, and Noah, and Andrew there. So we just kind of hung out, and it was just a good time. I'm grateful that I got to experience kind of that group atmosphere rather than just kind of that one-on-one. But I'm hoping maybe we can get some more personal time as we train together in the future.
Awesome. And you mentioned that Coach kind of talked with you a little bit about how you can fit in and you can start things off right from the get-go. Did you guys kind of get in a conversation about what kind of mileage you've been in and how he's going to maybe ramp that up or take it to the next level, or what he sees in your training that can, you know, make you an impact guy in this Wisconsin team next year?
Yeah. So obviously I can't run if I'm injured. So first goal there, let's not get injured. So just one of the things they were saying there is just, you know, mileage. I mean, it's going to increase, but it's not going to be ridiculous. If your body can't handle the mileage, then you're not going to be able to run, and you can't score points if you're not running. So it's just going to be a gradual increase. Obviously, the intensity is going to amplify, but I mean, it's the next level. It's what's going to happen. So.
Awesome, man. I think that's it from us. Travis, do you have any questions for Derrick?
Nope, not for me, Derrick. I'm really excited for where you headed out there with Wisconsin. I think it's going to be a great fit for you.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, man? Is there anything, you know, anybody you'd like to thank from the process that, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that kind of helped you out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll throw a shout out to my mom and dad. I mean, really pushing me, getting me out there, and making me do some of the steps maybe I didn't want to, but still making sure I got to the end result where I have right now. I don't know. I want to thank all my friends for being here on signing day and all that fun stuff. And yeah, I'm thankful. That's all I can say.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations. Best of luck with the rest of the season. Congratulations also on you know, the big runner-up finish there at the Nxn Heartland. Actually, you want to talk about that race a little bit? How was the race and what was it like?
I guess to start off, the day was beautiful. I mean, for South Dakota standards, there was virtually no wind. It was wonderful. No, it wasn't too cold at all. I thought it was I don't know, what was it, about mid 40s, low 40s. Felt pretty dang good, I'd say. No, I'd say, I don't know, the gun went off. Everyone kind of took it out a little faster, but I tried to stick to the little bit more conservative strategy there. Kind of going through, you know, I'm getting caught in a little bit in the first mile just with the pack. Still kind of making my way through. About first mile, I can see the leaders. So, I mean, I know where they are. I know where they are. I know they're in striking distance and all that. And just kind of gradually making my way up and finally getting into that top pack and hitting with the leaders. And then, yeah, finally battling out in the top four. And then just coming down to the last 200 meters and just kind of putting it out there. And I mean, it is how it is. I know personally, I didn't think it was my best race, not just to say because I got second, but just how I felt. I mean, I'm happy to be going to Portland now, and happy to take second with a sub 15 time. So, I mean, I can't complain there, obviously, but
yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, just with the way I was feeling, I'm very happy with it, but I'm hoping I can hit a little better day here hitting Foot Locker and Nationals here.
Awesome, man. And truly last question, what are those goals for that Foot Locker and National races there?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about it a whole lot. I mean, obviously, I'd love to be top 5, top 10 in there. But I mean, I guess my whole goal at this point has just been making Nationals and Foot Locker and Nike. And I mean, I'm about halfway there. So I think once I kind of see how things are laying, I'm going to reassess my goals and kind of put a little bit new fire under everything and really go after it.
Awesome, man. Cool. Well, thank you so much again for calling and talking with us. And, you know, best of luck heading into those national meets.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for calling.
Awesome, man. Congratulations again, and talk to you later.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's pretty big for Derrick. You know, I got to give Brian a shout out here. You had him on the national radar, put him up in the rankings before a lot of people were really looking at him as a national level talent. But he's quickly, since Roy Griak and on, established himself as one of the guys to watch. And, you know, he has his goals high. I think for him going towards Nxn, that's a good fit. You know, Nxn's more of a strength runner's course. Foot Locker, you look more at the speed guys, Reed Brown from last year. This is going to be really interesting. Like, Casey Klinger, I feel like, is a good example of kind of a bigger, stronger athlete, not quite as fast on the track as some of those speedsters at Foot Locker. And this could be a really great fit for Derrick Peters at Nxn. But we've got another interview.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking
Next
of
up here, we have Coach Dobson from Centerville. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, really excited. You know, Centerville coming off of Nxn Midwest. For you, when you look at this performance on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the Centerville girls' race this weekend?
We were darn near a 9, I think. I think there's always, we fell asleep maybe a little bit between 2.5K to 4K, but we closed hard and we opened well. But I thought our performance was much better. Our pack time improved a ton over the previous 2 weeks, which was probably a little bit of our Achilles heel, and we didn't look as sharp as we needed to be as a pack. But give credit to our girls for bringing that down in 44 seconds from 1 to 5 with 3 strong girls right up at the up near the front. We're excited about that.
When you look at your season, what would be the races you point at where, you know, like, and where you can say this is when our team was at its peak, or this is a really true indication of what our program can do when we run in our top form?
Well, we try to travel a little bit within the rules of Ohio. We traveled to Louisville, Kentucky to race at Trinity. Perennial powers like Carmel have gone there from Indianapolis area, and we were able to come away with a victory down there. That's in September, as you know. And then we traveled to Paul Short, which, you know, depending on the year, it depends who's there. Pensbury, who's been very good in the past, has traveled there sometimes. We race Shenandoah. I'm good friends with the coach up there. But we were able to have a good showing there as well. And then our conference is really just incredible. We had two individuals from our own conference, 17-team conference, that are Nike qualifiers just out of the Midwest this past weekend. So our conference is extremely deep. Not only on the individual side, but also team-wise.
And for you and this team, starting from the beginning of the year up until Nxn Midwest, you talk about getting that 1.5 gap down to about 44 seconds. What are the things you and the program have been working on in practice to close that gap, because it is so important once you get to regional and national meets?
Well, we just kind of really identify it. We just say that that's an important thing, and really kind of sensing each other and feeling it. A couple of years ago when we had the opportunity to qualify to Nxn, we called it synergy. It was just kind of that word that we felt like, where no matter whether you were the #1 runner and feeling the presence of the people behind you, or whether you were, you know, the 7th runner kind of pushing everybody ahead, it was trying to feel and sense the team there, and they did a nice job of finding each other and moving together this past weekend. Well, so nothing. I don't think anything. We practiced surge points and things throughout the middle of the season, but it's just kind of a feeling that we try to describe for them.
Every year, every team's a little bit different, but when you look at this 2017 cross-country team, what connections and correlations do you see to that team that qualified a couple years ago?
Well, we had a lot of freshmen that particular year. We had a great depth and leadership too from a couple seniors, and a strong sophomore that year, and then 4 freshmen who probably ignorance was a little bit of a bliss, where they just kind of rode the wave of success, and we had a great season that year. We had one hiccup in that year. We traveled to that was the year Great American got canceled
Right.
because of rain, so we ended up switching and heading up and raced a good Shenandoah team from New York that year, and had a little hiccup there. But I think just the way that they've come together, the way that they've supported each other, we've had some new leaders emerge, and it's great. We've had a nice new freshman as well that has done great things for us too. So a lot of similarities. I think the pack time is probably the thing that sticks out to me the most, that probably benefits us, especially when you look at the Midwest. Just the number of teams that entered compared to other regions. So when you get down to our 4 and 5 runner who are running against, the 22nd through the 35th teams, number 1s and 2s, our score is going to inflate a little bit. I think that's going to happen where that might not happen at some other places. And then I also think that, our conditions and cool weather and a sloppy course, and we all know that Terre Haute's not the fastest place in the world. I think some of those things I hope the committee will take into account. And I think the Midwest was a very, very strong region, and both of you have spoken to that over the last few weeks.
And for you, every time this year we look at this first round of regionals, it's one of the most difficult periods for those athletes, coaches, those programs that finish in 3rd and 4th. You're now stuck in limbo until the official wildcard teams are announced. How do you approach these next couple of weeks? Because regardless of what happens, you have to keep your athletes in great shape if they will participate in Nxn in December. So how do you approach training and just that mentality of keeping your athletes in that mindset that we are going to be racing at nationals, because you don't want to fall asleep in these couple of weeks?
Absolutely not, because we really expect that our name can be called on Sunday, I think the 26th. So we gave the girls today off, and we're going to talk with them and make sure that their heads are on straight. And we expect that they will. We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we're prepped. I just probably kind of view it a little bit of the college football, where if you make it to a bowl game, those coaches really talk about how those extra 2 or 3 weeks of allowed coaching time helps them for the next season. So I think there's ways for this to really help us. I spoke with the Yorkville coach, Chris Muth, this morning. I kind of asked him. He was in a similar situation a year ago, and congrats to them. They automatically qualified, placing 2nd yesterday. And I just asked his opinion on how he did that with his girls. But he also said, kind of gave them a little bit of an edge for this year, going through that experience last year. So I hope that we have that chance, because our top 5 scores yesterday will come back next year.
Absolutely. I think we also see some similar connections there with Utah, with them having a month between the state meet and the regional, able to recharge a little bit, and they run extremely well at Southwest every year. And so lastly, we're going to put you on the spot. We know your opinion is biased, but that's why I like it. We want to hear it from you. Coach, if we had to put you on the spot like we are right now and said you got to give us your 30-second pitch, why should Centerville be selected as an at-large team?
Well, it's really just about what I think our region was. And you look at a team like Barrington that came in 3rd, who has a good resume. Absolutely. They have an Nxn resume based on how they performed. I think we traveled a couple different places across the country to see some teams, and we didn't lose. We found ways to dig out wins in different places. I think the Midwest, if again you look at the weather and the course and compare things, it was a little slower this year than it was last year. The number of girls that were under 19 minutes this year compared to last year was different by about a dozen girls. And I think we are deeper this year than we were last year. We had 4 or 5 on the bubble or ranked teams this year, where last year our second ranked team going into the meet was 25th. So we just have a much deeper region this year. And I really hope the committee will kind of take a look at everything and all of those different factors. I think the fact that we've been there before, too, is helpful. That's probably the last little feather in our cap.
Absolutely. Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to you guys the next couple of weeks with your training.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me on, and thanks for everything you do for our sport.
Appreciate it. I mean, that's Brian. I'm going to throw it straight to you after hearing that conversation. You know, we have in our talking points here of what we're going to go through. Yeah. First up on the list coming out of that is Nxn Midwest. We're going to go through all the regionals now and talk about wildcard potential. For those of you watching live on Facebook, comment and let us know what you think. Irving Garibaldi, I saw you on there, Arizona MileSplit webmaster. You better be letting us know who you think is going to be qualifying out of Southwest, because we're getting down there this weekend. But first, Nxn Midwest. You just heard the case from the man himself, Centerville. What are your thoughts here on the girls' side?
Man, it is so rough. I think this girls' squad, like you said, the Midwest is deep. And we've said that here. We sat here last week and said those same things. But it's really tough to nail them down and say, you know, finishing fourth, that they are going to be able to do that and take. That would give them 2 spots, qualifying spots from Nxn Midwest. I mean, what are your thoughts? Did he convince you on what are some of his points?
We talked about this earlier today. Brian and I, we were sitting down in our meeting looking over what our talking points are going to be, and I said, I honestly don't know. And I was going to wait until after that conversation. I was like, I'm going to talk this conversation. I'm going to let him convince me. And if I'm behind his case, then that's where I'll go right now. And that's where I'm going right now. I think I'm going with Centerville. Did a lot of research looking at all these teams, and I don't think we have the depth on the girls' teams that we've had in some of the past years. You're not going to see a wild card out of New York, and it seems like almost every single year the conversation is New York going to get 2, or are they only going to get? So you almost like give them a wild card every single year. Yeah. You're not seeing that now. California girls aren't as deep as the California boys teams this year, which are blowing up. You don't have the Southwest where they are. Some of the programs Northwest aren't as strong. Southeast, you're not going to get one. Northeast, you're not going to get one. And it is difficult. They are in 4th. And for those of you who are new to the process, it is 4 wildcard teams get selected, but you can only have a maximum 2 out of any particular region, as you must finish 3rd or 4th. And you have to take the team before them. So if Centerville goes,
have to be 2.
You have to take Barrington. And that's the one hiccup. I think the one, if Centerville was 3rd, I'd say, why are we even talking about this?
Yeah, it would be no question. It would be no brainer.
But for them, that is the one thing they have to get over. There were a couple meets this year. First to finish, the state meet where Barrington didn't have the best performances. Yep. But when it matters the most, on the day, they ran extremely well against a region which I said last week was the deepest girls region in the entire country. And I still believe that. So for them, when I look at Centerville, who just like you said, they raced well out of state. Their 1-5 pack is extremely tight. This is a program that can go to Nxn and run well in that race. I think that's something they've got to look at too. Is if we're taking 4 teams out of this massive pool of teams, who's going to compete in our race? We see every single year there are wildcard teams that finish top 10, top 15. You know, it's not just auto qualifiers that do well. I think this Centerville girls team is one that can take to Portland and one that can do well. So I'm saying yes, I'm voting thumbs up on Centerville.
Okay.
But, you know, that's not it, right? The Midwest, there's a boys race, too.
The boys race,
in case you didn't know. And for me, so I just said, in case you missed it, 2 girls teams are going. Because I said you got to take Centerville, you got to go Barrington. So, Brian,
which is rough.
The boys Midwest have a good track record here of Nxn at large. Are they going to get 2?
And see, I was looking at things just like you were. I examined it. I kind of looked at, you know, some of the state meets, especially the Illinois state meet really plays into effect here. And I think from what I'm going to say no. I think that they might take 1. Right. But I don't see them getting 2. It's too much for that one region. I think that you got teams like the New York. You know, you look at the New York State meet was this past weekend. You had Corning, FM, and Burnt Hills all running extremely well. You have all those California teams. They're going to run extremely well. The Southeast region. There's just so many other regions on the boys' side that have the depth, that have the teams that have like run really well and run amazing races against all these other teams. So when you look at this region in particular, at the Illinois State meet, you have Downers Grove, Nequa Valley, Wheaton, Hillsdale, and Lyons Township. So then you look at the Midwest region, and it went Downers Grove, Carmel, Nequa Valley, Wheaton, Wheatonville. And when you look at things, Nequa Valley would be that 3rd team to possibly go in.
Right. I'm pretty sure Nequa Valley was 4th.
Nequa Valley was 4th.
Right, because Lyons Township was 3rd at the region. So I guess that's my one thing.
That's where
I'm going to throw one little wrench, right? Because we know head-to-head wins matter.
Yes.
And head-to-head wins against teams that have qualified matter, right? And Lyons Township, like you mentioned, the state meet didn't have a great race. They bounced back for 3rd. We know Nequa Valley has beaten Downers Grove North head-to-head, and Nequa Valley has beaten Lyonsville Township. So if they're in 4th place, maybe that for me is like, maybe there's a 2nd.
Or Nequa Valley, yeah. But then you look at Lyons Township in that Illinois statement where they finished 5th. It's just they're so far back that how do you say, yes, here's your go-ahead. They should take this. But I mean, there's other. Again, we talked about these other regions that still have yet to play out.
Right.
There's still other regions that we haven't talked about that happened this weekend. So I mean, if you look at the Nxn Northwest region, what are your thoughts from that?
Northwest is interesting. It's so tough, and I'm going to look specifically at the girls' side because that to me was one of the bigger matchups. Is how all that's going to play out. You had a lot of really strong teams that are going to be up in that race, but we saw Sunset didn't have Ember Stratton race, and that unfortunately for them was it. They're with Ember Stratton. They're one of the best programs in the country. Without her, they're not. I think if you look at the race, ifs, ands, or buts, but hey, if Ember Stratton was in that race, I think that's 2nd. You look at the point spread, and you assume that she's going to finish top 3. I think it's a very fair assumption to make of Ember Stratton running at 100%. Then they're getting 2nd in that race and moving on, and in which case the wild card conversation becomes very different. But this is a tricky one. But so Sunset didn't. They finished 6th place without a conversation. Summit now comes in. Summit has had a good season. Oregon teams, they don't always race out of state as much, but they race well at Nike Portland. They did finish 3rd in that event, but Jesuit beat them. They finished 40 points behind Jesuit at the state meet, and now they finished 20 points back in 3rd place here. So for them, they're keeping that gap consistent. Jesuit we have ranked as one of the top programs in the country. They won, and we haven't seen them getting blown out of the water. I think if we had looked at Summit and you're seeing them finish 60 points back in all these meets, then that's a big gap. 40 points is not a lot to it there. So when I look at Summit, let's be honest, Oregon teams have a good track record of getting wild cards. We know they can compete in those conditions. We know the committee likes them. So I think Summit, they get my thumbs up for an automatic qualifier. But the boys race, I thought Crater, I had them down in my predictions as getting an auto. They're 3rd. Brian, I think Summit's going to go from Oregon. Is Crater going to make it as well?
So that's the crazy thing. I think that when you look at Crater, taking 3rd in the Nxn Northwest region, it's going to be rough. It's just you said it's best. They don't race as many races as you see other states and other teams from other states race. So when you have like Central Valley come in and they were at Bob Furman, we saw them get to race there. We saw them against Lewis and Clark multiple times. They're in the same conference in the same area of the state, so we get to see them again. So Central Valley comes in, and to be honest, I did not peg them as being one of the winners. I think I underestimated them a little bit, and they came out and they really showed
I picked
strong.
the girls.
Yeah,
the boys were on my radar.
Yeah, Central Valley, and then Kamikin, I think is how you pronounce it, from Washington. They were the overall Washington state champions. Yeah. So 2 solid teams out of the boys area, and Crater, I think they just needed to really perform well to get that nod and to get the auto. And then if they had the auto, I think things would have been differently. We would have saw some interesting conversations of Central Valley, Kamikin, who gets it there, especially if it was Central Valley, Crater going 1-2 in that region.
So is that a thumbs up or thumbs down on Crater?
I'm going with a thumbs down on Crater. Again, it still just sticks out with we have to see these New York regions play out. The South, I just want to see the whole picture unfold. But I'm going thumbs down on Crater right now. I'm being the thumbs down guy. I hate to say it. But right now,
if you had to early thoughts here, we're seeing one out of the Midwest, no one from the Northwest. I think you were at Mount Sac, right?
I'm still holding on to those California squads, man. Yeah. You got Dublin, you have Dana Hills, who we still really haven't saw come to full fruition. We have Eleanor Roosevelt out there. We have Loyola on the boys' side from California, and then just like I said, talking about some of those New York teams with Corning, FM, and Burnt Hills, and then Southeast we have Milton, we have St. Xavier from Louisville. We have Green Hope, and obviously Loudoun Valley. How can I forget them? So it's just so many teams in some of those regions that are just way more stacked. And not even to mention
Before we move on, I got to jump in here. Milton, guys, come on. I've been talking to them all morning. They told me they're going to send me a video. I'm going to give them a shout-out. This is an anti-shout-out. You don't get a shout-out because you guys didn't send me your video. What are you doing? I was like, you send me a video. Tell me why you're going to win NXN Southeast. I'm going to put it on the show. You guys are making it
awesome
MileSplit Live.
Too, guys. Come on.
They didn't come through, so no shout-out for Milton. I take it back. I take back my shout-out from today. I take back my shout-out from a couple weeks ago. No shout-outs from Milton.
Oh, man. You guys got to send that video. We got to get that in here.
Yeah. Anyone send us video, we'll put it in.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, the Edina girls got to open the show, so that's pretty awesome.
First time this year so far, MileSplit Live, we've had a team intro the show.
Yeah.
Shout out to Edina. Qualifying, speaking of Edina, segue. What's up?
Perfect for
Edina girls, they're going.
Yep.
And this is big. All right. Trent, hot takes intro. Hit me with it. Dun, dun. There we go. We didn't have a mic or a camera on it, but we're rolling with it. All right, let's go. The hot takes segment is back. It is Wayzata Hot Takes Part 2. That's right. I opened this show off in the beginning of the season with hot takes segment on Wayzata. I'm back with Wayzata girls. Psyched you out. You thought I was going to talk about boys again? The Wayzata girls just won the NXN Heartland Regional. I'm telling you right now, exactly like I did with the boys, NXN girls, Wayzata is going to win. Boom. Hitting you with the big one. And here's what's happening. If we look at NXN, the history here with this event and these teams, FM, 10 wins. That's great. Since 2006, they've gone undefeated, except for 2013. What team beat them in 2013? Wayzata. Wayzata beat them in 2013, the only team to beat them at Nationals since 2006. And we look, and there's some very eerily similar characteristics here. Back in that year, Wayzata won because they had a deeper 1 through 7. FM was super strong 1 through 4, just like they are this year. But in 2013, Wayzata's 1 through 7 displaced their 5. They took a 12-point win. Really close victory. And we look at this season. We look at NXN Heartland right now. If there's anything this Wayzata team knows, it's how to peak at the right time. We're seeing the same thing. FM's 1 through 4 are better. That's a fact, but their 5 is not. Wayzata's 1 through 6 are stronger and deeper across the board. FM, this is not an FM team that's going to win like 100 points like we've seen in the past. Not 100 points, Doug Souls. Not 100 points. Because Wayzata's going to win to begin with, but Wayzata's going to get more in. And we looked at the speedrunning merge on New York. Wayzata, this is one of the best singular race performances of the entire year. Great Oak has been the best consistently throughout the season. You can't take that from them. But Wayzata, this is one of the best performances all year. They know how to peak. They are coming to Portland. The upset train is back. Wayzata is going to make it 2 national titles, the only team to win multiple national titles since 2006. Let's go.
Well, now that that is over, I'm going to tell you why that's not going to happen. You're crazy. I still think FM has the experience. It's all about experience when you get in that national meet. They've been there. They've done that. These girls know what they're doing in this race. You look at the speed ratings, by the numbers, you have it. They have it better. And this is going back to Manhattan. I feel like you can't quite count on the speed ratings from New York State meet. Course conditions were all over the place. It was sloppy. It's kind of just like off the charts. So if you look at the speed ratings, Clear Walters, 147, 145 next, 144, 138, 137, 127, 98. So yes, they fall off a little in that 7th runner, and even the same thing you saw at the state meet, where Wayzata, they do have a solid 1 through 7, but I still think that Manhattan, looking at those times and what FM was able to do, which was a huge improvement from earlier in the season we saw them, and as we know, they get better as they train and the season goes on because they have them peaking at the national meet. So if you look at what Wayzata did just this past weekend, they had a 143, a 142, a 129, 127, 122, 122, and a 112. So through 7, yes, they're very strong. But when you have the cutoff at the top 5 runners at 137 for the FM girls and 121 for the Wayzata girls, FM is still on paper hands down better.
Yeah, I still don't. I think it's a consistency. So we saw their 5 didn't have a great race at the New York State meet. Wayzata had, and actually I have some. Last year I was at Wayzata after GRIAC. I have some extensive interview footage with the coach talking about 2013 year. I'll make sure to dig that up so we can get that on MileSplit. There's some really interesting behind the scenes details on that year in 2013 and what kind of helped them win. This is going to be tough. I think one thing super important is this isn't a team that has never. That mentality, right? FM is this unbeatable Goliath, right? Wayzata knows we have beaten that. How many teams in the country can say that will have 10 years? Not many. And Wayzata can say that, and I think that mentality and the peaking and the same progression we see every year is going to take them to another title.
I still disagree. I think that when you look at things, again, on the paper, the way they are.
Rip up the paper.
You can rip up the paper
Rip
if you
up
want,
the paper.
but I'm telling you, on
Wayzata's
paper,
taking it. Don't need the paper.
is a stronger and better team. And like I said, the course conditions at the New York State meet, like you're saying, like, oh, their speed ratings, they didn't run a great 1 through 5. And if I was the coach and I knew that they were going to do what they could do at the New York State meet, everybody knew they could win the state meet Class A. It wasn't a question. You say you go out there, you run together, you get the win. That's what you're trying to do. You move on and advance to the next race with that one. In my eyes, in my opinion, that's just one of those races. Like, you can't go out there and run all out in the conditions that they had. Muddy, sloppy, dirty. It was terrible
So you
conditions.
got to do Nxn, though. You got to be able to run all out.
And I think that
Nxn,
Nxn, when it does matter the most, they're going to turn on the guns and that they'll have Wayzata at the end.
It's still like Wayzata's pack consistently being closer 1 through 5, and that 6 runner can just even
That's
the 6
okay.
runner
I think
can displace the 5.
I still think that FM again
What are your
on paper. I
Wayzata,
want to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
FM. Trent, we
Let us
got
know
any
on
action
Twitter.
on the Facebooks here?
Yeah, we got some action. Eric Brendan saying Burnt Hills and
Burnt
Corning are
Hills.
going to make it out of New York.
There we go.
Yeah.
Burnt Hills, Corning. You can look at, we have an article up on MileSplit where we give all our predictions for these meet. We just had a comment on Facebook saying Burnt Hills and Corning. I had the same thing, but my order is Corning, Burnt Hills on the New York side.
Corning looked very strong at the New York State meet this past weekend, beating FM.
Quinn Nicholson is back, the #1 runner,
That
proving
helps
he's a
them a lot.
number one or top 3. Yeah.
Again, it shakes things up all over that New York region.
Yeah.
Just it makes
Trent
it crazy.
shouting out from the
Got
back.
one more for you.
Yes, you
Irving,
do.
He heard you, Travis.
Oh, yes, he did.
Desert Vista's looking absolutely deadly on the team side.
Deadly.
So,
Deadly. I mean,
All right,
that's
there
a good
you
segue
go.
into
Nxn
NXN Southwest this
yeah.
weekend. Yeah. I mean, so what are your thoughts on what Irving has to say?
There we go. So that's Irving, our Arizona webmaster. Thanks for tuning in. He's going with Desert Vista out of Arizona. I mean, there's no questioning their credentials the last number of years, how strong this program is. This is a tough one, though, for all these boys programs because you have to go through Springville and Temp, and that's been the storylines all season.
It's tough.
I'm going another one. It's another Vista. That's not Desert. It's a Mountain Vista.
Yeah.
I'm going with Mountain Vista from Colorado. They're a team that really has flown under the radar all season long. Currently, our Colorado webmaster Alan Versaw, who is the guru of the Southwest region. He has Springville and Temp 1-2 in the Southwest, followed by Desert Vista and Mountain Vista back and forth. But I think when you look at the progression this Mountain Vista team has made over the year, they have a really strong 1 through 5 split. They had a huge race at the Colorado State meet. I mean, that was going to be the deciding factor of whether or not the team had a chance at an NXN. And I think they do. I think Springville is going to be so hard to beat. This team proved at the state meet.
Absolutely.
Not to say that it's impossible for a team like Temp to bounce back. They have beaten them, but when I look at Mountain View, I think they're peaking at the right time. This Mountain Vista boys team, they're going to come back, and they've performed well at NXN. This is a team that qualifies. We've seen this in the past. They're not a stranger to this course, this race, move on to nationals. So I actually think that the Mountain Vista boys team is going to upset the teams from Utah, the Desert Vista team out there, and I think it's going to be Springville and Mountain Vista. Brian, boys rankings,
Interesting
what you think?
take, man. I still think you look at it, and American Fork ran really well at the Utah State meet as well, and they're a team that you forgot to mention there, and we could see them potentially grab a bid.
Yeah.
I think other than Springville, it's anybody's, and I think Springville still has to be on top of their game like they were at the Utah State meet, and coming in with that long break, we'll see how their coaches prepare them for everything coming up. But on the girls' side, what about that? I think from my perspective, I think it's a lock between Mountain View and Broomfield, and I think all of our predictions are across the board on that too, on those two with the Southwest region.
Yeah, this would be a real shocker if 2 Colorado teams didn't qualify out of this region. There's just been really no question all year long. They've been the top 2 teams in our rankings. They're just super strong. I think that there are some good teams sleeping out there in Arizona. Utah always produces good distance programs, but they're not the teams that we've seen in the past with some of those American Fork or Timpanogos programs. Davis isn't quite what we've seen over the last number of years on the girls' side. And this is it. Colorado's back. They're taking over. I think Utah has been at the forefront of girls in this region for a number of years now. Of course, Desert Vista is always super strong, but I think this year, 2 teams from Colorado. It'd be hard to see it coming out otherwise.
Yeah, and I think, we got another big NXN region coming up this weekend. We have the NXN South region. Webmaster Will Grundy from Texas, as we said, he's been in the background here, kind of listening to this banter and this chatter. So, we're going to have him come up over here and come on the
down
show
to the table, Will.
and give us our opinion, his opinions on what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things to talk about with Will. He's been out and about in Texas all season long. We've talked about it for the past couple of years. We've gotten a lot of flack, but we, jokingly, but also very seriously call this Nxn Texas.
Yeah,
especially,
for real.
Especially on the team front. Individuals, we've definitely seen it mixing up lately. But
yeah, and this is the first time, old Texas MileSplit Webmaster, old Texas MileSplit Webmaster, now Texas MileSplit Webmaster.
Yeah.
So there's a trifecta of Texas MileSplit Webmaster.
All three of us at some point were the webmaster of Texas MileSplit. Back to the origins.
I think no better people to be discussing the Nxn South region, but I mean, Will.
Right, all in all, I was right here at the table.
Exactly.
This is like one of those things where all like the matter can't be in the same space at the same time, and it like breaks the time continuum or something. So we might be about to like break the internet, but we're gonna roll with it.
It's okay. So I mean, Will, sitting down at the table, what are your initial thoughts on some of the South region? What's gonna happen?
Man, every year, that one team is always there. That's South Lake Carroll, boys and the girls. Yep. So you kind of almost have to reserve a spot right next to the war stand for them. The boys, they have a good shot. It's going to be tough to beat them. The Woodlands was able to do it at the state meet. 6 points. South Lake Carroll, they have a 19-second split from 1 to 5. Yep. And I just think that's going to be tough for anybody outside of the Woodlands, who it took them to the last 100 meters to displace South Lake Carroll. So it's going to be tough. There are some teams that are looking to do that. You have El Paso Eastwood. They're very tough. They won the Desert Twilight out in Arizona. They got third at the state meet. They even beat South Lake Carroll at Region 1 6A. So they're definitely capable. All three teams have 5 guys at 1550 and under. They're number 5 guys running 1550. So it's going to be tough to displace those.
I'm really interested because the Woodlands, we didn't quite get to see them as much as we've seen them in the past. We all know what happened out in Houston with the flooding this year.
Right.
So they haven't had as much racing. So this state meet was their first true test of the season. And South Lake's been traveling around. We've seen them go out of state and compete against really good teams. We had a good sense of what the South Lake team was. When you're at the state meet, what did you notice the most out of this Woodland program? Did you expect them to win out against South Lake? Because they even lost a couple of guys, too, some of their top guys, and yet they still reloaded. Your thoughts after the state meet, how impressed were you with the Woodlands?
Composure. They're one of the most composed group of guys around. Their coach is composed, assistant coach is composed, assistant coach is composed. It's just all through the program. The guys, what I was really worried about, they have the emotional factor with the hurricane, and then one of their guys passed over the summer. But they just go out there and run. They're tough. They don't have that one guy. Well, I guess they do now, but no one thought they had a number 1 guy that would win it. But he got second at the state meet. And then, they're just from top to bottom. It's the Woodlands, so nobody thinks they're blue-collar runners, but those are some blue-collar guys. So they come tough. They come prepared, and they're going to run no matter what day it is. State, okay, Nike, okay, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
So you look at a team like Flower Mound. Let's say, I know you kind of mentioned El Paso Eastwood, South Lake Carroll, but Flower Mound, I think they finished 6th at the state meet. But obviously their number 1 low stick, the elephant in the room here, Alex Mayer, dropped out of the state meet.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what maybe he'll have the impact on obviously the race if he runs and that team score? Right.
So Alex Mayer, he's been the guy, one of the top national guys all year, ever since last year. 5th last year at Foot Locker, 5th at Nxn. He had a condition, physical, where he had to drop out of the race. But talking to his dad, they're rehabbing. If he wasn't healthy, he wouldn't be in the race, and he is legitimately scheduled. So we're looking to see him go. You got him and Derick Kirk, who won the 6A. You lose your top guy, the top guy in the nation, and you still get a state champion. That's kind of tough. But they were able to do that. So Flower Mound is definitely there. If Alex Mayer can run, you got to watch out for them because that might just be 3 points with those 2 guys alone. So they're tough, but they have to have Alex Mayer get 1 point or Derick Kirk get 1 point between them, or it's tough because, like I said, as soon as you cross that line, you got 5 South Lake Carroll guys, 5 El Paso Eastwood guys, and 5 Woodlands guys right there. So he has to be on his game.
And let's say El Paso Eastwood is a team that is well known in Texas, but the national scene flies a little under the radar. Woodlands, South Lake always qualify. When you look at Eastwood, what do they need to do to qualify? What needs to happen for this team to be able to get past the Woodlands and South Lake?
Eastwood, they have to, it's not basketball or football, but they have to go man on man. You almost have to get a guy and stick with them because, like I said, when they cross the line, they're coming through and the flurry is over and done with quick. El Paso Eastwood has that. Their split is more like 37 seconds, which you think, man, if you got 5 guys
really
that are 50-50, you have a shot. But 19 seconds and then 25 for the Woodlands, they almost have to be right there. You want to get your 4 and 5 guy in front of their 4 and 5 guy. If they can do that, they might have a shot.
Awesome. Now let's look at the girls' side. I mean, we have Keller all down as a lock, and after that, it's kind of an all over the place. And even Keller, do you think Keller is the lock that they seem to be? You know, is there some weakness in Keller's squad at all?
Weakness as far as Keller, I think you only see it at Nxn. Regionals, anywhere else that doesn't have, you know, those Northeast squads or something, Keller's going to win. It's just happened. They've mixed their girls, their number 1 girls, their number 3 or their number 2, and they still win, and they win big. Abby Santoro, she placed second at state, last year? Right. They had a different girl get second at state this year. And she wasn't even leading throughout the most of the season. It was a totally different girl. So their top 4 is very, very strong. I don't see them being beat at all.
So that second position, though, I mean, like I said, it's wide open. You have teams like Hebron. You have teams like South Lake Carroll. Flower Mound girls did really well at the state meet.
You still have to remember Marcus.
And Marcus, Marcus, who didn't even make it out of their district, correct?
Right.
It was their district. So, you know, looking at that field, who is a second place? Is there any sure in second place behind Keller?
That is going to be the interesting. The boys will be interesting, but the girls, when you have Keller that you want to give them a spot, then there's only one other spot that can go. And when you have 5 teams that were separated by 3 points, it's got to be the race you want to see. Hebron won the district. They got second at state. They beat South Lake Carroll, but South Carroll bounced back. Flower Mound, the girls team, they're legit as well, so they're in that mix. And like I say, Marcus, even though they didn't make it to state, they didn't make it out of district. They still, 2 points. Yeah. 2 points. They could have been sitting on the award stand at state.
Maybe this is the maybe not qualifying is a good thing, right? Marcus 2015 was the year, the state meet year. Such an emotional experience. There's actually a film up. You can check it out on MileSplit or Float Track on everything that went into that year. And they won state championships and then couldn't qualify for Nxn. So maybe this year, this is...
they can switch it all up.
Yeah, they set back, they recharge a little bit. We just talked about the Centerville coach relating to coming for Nxn Midwest, recharging a little bit, hopefully get that wild card. So maybe this is what they needed. Take some time off, reassess, focus up. This could be their year for Marcus. We always thought 2015, maybe this is it. Marcus coming back. I think it's going to be difficult because of what we've seen out of South Lake all year, but I think this Marcus team has it. They have Quinn Owen with a legitimate low stick as well. This is not a team to sleep on.
Yeah, Quinn Owen, she was on that 2015 team.
Yep.
She made it to state. She's their low stick. But Coach T, you can't – he's a mastermind. He's good. So you give him 2 or 3 weeks to work with these girls, you got to be watching out for Marcus.
So if you had to pick 2 teams right now auto-qualifying on the boys' side and the girls' side out of the South region, who are they?
2 teams on both sides.
Yep.
Boys, you have to, and I want to give kudos to, you got 3A defending champions, 8-time champion Luling coming. Yep. You have 4A San Elizaro, they're going to go for it, and 5A in Lovejoy. But I have to say that the Woodlands and South Lake Carroll, if I'm going to give it to someone, you got to come take it from them. South Lake Carroll, year after year they're there. On the girls' side, it's hard seeing anyone beating Keller. That second spot, I just have to go with history.
Yeah.
South Lake Carroll.
Yeah. Travis, what about you?
Man, I gotta go. I'm thinking the same thing, but I'm swapping out Marcus for South Lake on the girls' side. I think that
you can't lose with that.
This is a big year for them. I think this, with a girl like Quinn, she was there at the state meet. Now this would send her. We looked at it. With Syracuse, NCAA level, to send out all those seniors with the national championship was what they wanted. Marcus is not by any means going to go win a national championship, but getting a girl like Quinn to nationals, this team, I think we look at the past couple of years, this for them would be just a monumental performance. And I think once you get a little bit of time off to reassess your goals, every single thing you do every single day is gearing up towards this moment. And again, these teams have had often no one's been like Keller, who's been consistently winning and dominating all season. No one's quite there out of these girls' teams. I think this is the year for Marcus, and they're going to get that spot to Nxn.
It's going to be so close and so important for number 4 and 5 runners you can see both races come down under 10 points.
Should be a great race.
Yeah.
Will, you're going to be there this weekend, so follow along Texas MileSplit with everything, results, interviews, photos. Will's going to have it all. He's going to keep you covered there.
Right. We have some more. I mean, we had more comments in. Mark Rice from our Minnesota MileSplit webmaster asking about wild cards at the Heartland Regional. And for those teams, I think it's just going to be really tough this year.
It's so tough.
I don't think those Heartland teams have a resume that can quite stack up against some of these other national programs as they start to look at the wild card at large selections. So unfortunately, I don't think any of those teams has a really good shot. The boys' side would be the one case where maybe one of those teams, definitely you're not getting two, that's for sure. There's potential for a third, but then again, I just don't see that happening with all the other programs left to race. The Heartland region just doesn't really compare at the third or fourth teams to some of these others. So it's not looking great for them.
It's going to be rough. I can't wait to see how all these regions play out, how everything plays out. But, as always, thank you, Will, for joining us. Thank you to both our other guests for joining us.
Yeah.
And,
Sure,
as always,
let us know.
Yeah, let us know. College signings still going through till Wednesday. Keep us updated. Let us know. We're going to do an article on the top 10 signing classes of the early signing period that's coming out later this week on MileSplit. Tons of other great content coming out on MileSplit as far as Nxn, Southwest, and South regions build up. Plenty of great stuff. Keep it locked right here on milesplit.com for everything track and field cross country related. And we'll see you guys later.